you! Boy oh boy, aren't you an interesting piece of work. On the surface, you come off like just another summer whodunit crime novel. But that's all disguised, isn't it? A pretty face to catch our attention. But inside? Oh. You present to us views about our society, deconstructions with complex characters, and a mystery that drags us through page after agonizing page to find out what makes you tick. That when you finally get to the end, you are left a changed man after going through the much deeper than expected rabbit hole. So how do I talk about you without spoiling the entire damn book? Feels like a challenge to anyone who tries to critique you. Let it be said that I don't back down from a challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, my name is David Popovich, aka the Bookworm, and welcome to Bookworm Reviews. Sit back and relax as we dive into the madness that is Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. When I think of my wife, I always think of her head. Aww, isn't that cute? And what's inside it? What? Like a child, I picture opening her skull, unspooling her brain, and sifting through it, trying to catch and pin down her thoughts. What are you thinking, Amy? Seriously, what the f***? Meet Nick Dunn, and his marriage isn't what it used to be. When he met Amy, she seemed like the perfect girl. Sweet, young, fun, and she's the inspiration of a popular series of children's books called Amazing Amy. In other words, money. But 5 years and one recession after being married, they can barely stand each other. Forced to move from the bustling city of New York to the quiet suburb of North Carthage, Missouri. Because of Nick's dying mother, basically their life in every aspect has gone to hell. And do not get me started on their anniversaries. Then on the day of their 5th anniversary, what did I just tell you? I began running, bellowing her name. Amy? She wasn't on the water. She wasn't in the house. Amy was not there. Amy was gone. So the girl is now gone. Oh, now the title makes sense. As news of Amy's disappearance begins to spread, Nick is forced into a spotlight that he's not prepared for, revealing that he's not that nice of a guy people know him as. Heck, he doesn't seem to be all too interested in his own wife's disappearance, or the fact that he keeps lying and dodgy to us about something. As I watched them, one suddenly looked up at me, his face in shadow, in oval blackness. I turned away. I felt an immediate, intense need to get inside. By the time I'd gone 20 feet, my neck bubbled with sweat. The sun was still an angry eye in the sky. You have been seen. You don't think that he killed? And that's all that can be said about the book, because like all good mysteries, it has twists, turns, revelations, and sucker punches that are revealed with excellent timing, leaving you with nothing else to do but to turn the next page to see what will happen next. It is not hard to see why this was the most talked about book of 2012. I'm still blown away by how good it is, and it is not easy talking about this story in detail without somehow giving away the twist, cause spoiler, spoiler, spoiler is spoiler, and spoiler, spoiler, spoiler to spoiler, cause spoiler, spoiler, which leads to spoiler, spoiler for spoiler, spoiler, and Bruce Willis was a ghost. It is not easy! But that just leaves the question, why did people flock to this story, making it a huge bestseller that it would be turned into an equally as good movie? I have an idea. Hear me out. This is going to get a little meta, but I think it's because the story and the book itself are one giant deception. Like I said in the beginning, the story sounds like your standard whodunit. I mean, the title of the book is Gone Girl. If anything, it is the most generic sounding mystery title you can get. There's a girl, and she's gone. What happened? Ooh! And it has the standard setup of one. Husband discovers wife is gone. Police come in with a list of suspects. Nick goes out of his way to learn more when the police seem to not be doing their job, real DIY detective work, using the clues Amy left for their annual anniversary treasure hunt to see where her final days took her. It's just another mystery, but then it lets us know early on that Nick isn't who we think he is as our narrator. He, in fact, is unreliable. And it is through that doubt begins to seep into our mind. From Nick's own thoughts about his relationship, Amy always going overboard, me never, ever worthy of the effort. Happy anniversary, asshole. To Amy's diary entries showcasing how they got together. He looks like the rich boy villain in an 80s teen movie. It's through these two perspectives we're shown that there is something more sinister beneath. Just who is Nick? And what is he hiding? Did he kill his wife? That's all fine and good. It makes the book more interesting. But it doesn't stop there. Halfway through, you are given a sucker punch that makes you realize you've been trolled. Cause spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Needless to say, but people's reactions were mind-blowing. And yet, the book doesn't stop there. One of the biggest themes the story has is the topic of perception. How is Nick being perceived by the public? Amy's death. In her diary entries, we learn that she has to deal with the perception of being Amazing Amy. No one wanted Amazing Amy to grow up. Least of all me. Leave her in knee socks and hair ribbons and let me grow up, unencumbered by my literary alter ego, my paper-bound better half. The me I was supposed to be. The perception of marriage, trying to get married as you get older, even if you are unhappy. I have many friends who are married. Not many happily married, but many married friends. Or if they just don't fit what you expected from them. To the very idea of how you're supposed to act constantly. That at this point we are so familiar with situations that we should know what to do. If we are betrayed, we know the words to say. When a loved one dies, we know the words to say. If we want to play the stud, or the smartass, or the fool, we know the words to say. We are all working from the same dog-eared script. Like puppets, tangled in string. All leading to the perception of the readers themselves. We think we know where we're going. It's a mystery after all, only to have the rug tugged out from us. Just as we get our bearings again, we are hit with a sucker punch, and it keeps happening again and again and again. And you even begin to realize that you have probably done it too, trying to match with whatever society told us to be, making that the bar to judge everything else. And when those bars aren't met, madness begins to set in. And Flynn does all this with masterful timing. That is why people flock to this book. Cause what looked like another mystery story turned out to be something much deeper and disturbing than anyone expected. You really do have to read this book. Admittedly, the logic of everything can be head-scratching once you start to actually think about it, and I'll be free to admit that I'm a little confused by the ending. Is it happy, sad, obtuse, spelled out? Am I just stupid cause spoilers? But it is done so well, you hardly notice it. It is, without a doubt, a masterpiece. Which is why it was ignored by most major awards, cause it's a mystery novel. Logic. What about you, Internet? What's your opinion about Gone Girl? Next week, let me ask you, are you willing to fight a god? Till next time, have a nice day.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. You got my head spinning, no kidding.